What is going on, guys? It is Matthew back with another video. Today we have the Best Zombies Map episode 29. This is going to be the finale, and this is going to wrap up our series as a whole. We had for the final round, we had Buried versus Mob of the Dead, in which Buried won, Mob of the Dead won, and then we had Buried versus Origins, and Origins won. So Buried was the loser between the two, and it got eliminated. And episode 29 was going to be the two winners, which were Origins and Mob of the Dead, but they were going to compete again in episode 30, so there's just no point to do it twice. So this is going to be the finale, episode 29. We have Mob of the Dead versus Origins. Two of my probably two favorite maps, maybe first and third. I'm not going to say which one is which, but they're very, very, very good maps. But let's just start comparing them. So our first category we have is gameplay. Now, Mob of the Dead has a lot of gameplay aspects. One big thing, of course, is its afterlife. It has the whole quest that you have to go to get the plane. That's probably one of the main. That's probably like the main portion. You also have other things like the Tomahawk, which is really cool. The Wonder Weapon is really cool. Just a whole bunch of stuff. They brought a new perk. Just a whole bunch of stuff on that map was just really cool. Origin, sort of the same way. You had 4 staffs that you needed to build and upgrade. You have 6 generators you need to do. You have some buildables like the shield, the Maxis drone. Just a whole bunch of stuff you need to do. Like you can ride the tank. You can do the Easter egg. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. I think that both maps are amazing and they're very fun to play. That's another thing about them, is they're both fun. They take quite a bit to get set up on, but once you get set up, they're quite fun. I slightly think Origins might beat it just a little bit, so I went with 3 to Mob of the Dead and 4 to Origins. Next, we have training spots. Now, Mob of the Dead has the cafeteria spot with the acid trap, which is really good, and you can, sort of go in the outside area. And it has down by the docks, and it also has the bridge, which are all good spots. Origins doesn't really have as many. You can sort of train around the excavation site, and you can sort of make it work. It is more difficult, but you can make it work. But I think Mob definitely has more training spots, so I went with 3 to Mob, 2 to Origins. Next up, we have difficulty level. Now, I think Origins is quite balanced, to be honest, because you have pretty difficult things like the Panzer, and you got to run after the Templar zombies to stop them from taking over the generators. But also you have really overpowered things like the staffs, like the ultimate staffs, like the ultimate ice staff, one of the most overpowered weapons of all time. So I feel Origins is quite a balanced map. I'd say it's a little bit on the hard side, but it is quite balanced. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but Mob of the Dead I think it's too easy, to be honest. When you get the combo with the shield, the electric cherry, speed cola, jug, and the vitrolic withering, you're basically invincible. Like you just can't die with that setup, and it's so easy. Like you have the acid trap right there if you're training in the cafeteria. If you're training down at the docks, you have the sniper trap. Plus you have jug really close to you. One other thing I find in solo is that you could basically get an extra perk because you don't need to buy quick revive, so because there is no quick revive, so you can get an extra perk in solo, which is nice. But I think too many things in Mob of the Dead make it too easy. I love it, but I think it's just a little bit too easy, so I went with 2 to Mob, 3 to Origins. Next up is Innovation. And as I said earlier, both these maps brought a ton of stuff to them. The Tomahawk, the Blundergat, the whole afterlife system, the plane quest, just a whole bunch of stuff it brought, like, electric cherry, just some really cool traps. Just a lot of things made Mob of the Dead a great map. Same with Origins, it had the staffs, it had the tank, the Panzer, the robots, the Maxis drone, the shield, just a ton of stuff on both of those maps. Also, the Easter eggs are quite good. So I think that both of these maps are very innovative. That's why I went with a 5-5 tie. Next up is perks. Now, Mob of the Dead brought a new perk, which is Electric Cherry, which is one of the better perks. Probably not one of the best, but it is one of the better ones, especially if you're training in the Mob of the Dead cafeteria. So it can be quite useful. It's not as useful, I feel, on Origins, but it can still be useful. Speaking of Origins, it brought the Wonder Fizz machine, which was featured in every other map after Origins came out, which I think was a really cool thing that they did. So I went with 1-to-1 to either map. Next up is Wonder Weapons. Now, Mob of the Dead had the Blundergat, and when you upgrade it, you can get either the Sweeper or the Acid Gat / Vitrolic Withering. So very, very good Wonder Weapons. Some of my favorites, but I think that Origins slightly beats it some because it has the 4 ultimate staffs opposed to just 2, which is the Sweeper and the Vitrolic Withering. I think both these maps had amazing Wonder Weapons, but I think Origins beats it slightly just because it brought more Wonder Weapons. So I went with 1 to Mob, 2 to Origins. Next up we have is bosses. Now, Mob brought Brutus and Origins brought the Panzer, which are both very, very similar, so I just went with 1-to-1. Next up is colors. Now, Mob of the Dead was originally brought out on the 360 and PS3, and it looked quite good. The graphics were nice. The map itself just looked really, really cool. You know, the dark prison vibe. It felt really nice. And when they made it backwards compatible for Xbox One, it looked even better just on the updated consoles and Origins had a more sort of open feel. It wasn't like post-apocalyptic. It was like most of the other Black Ops 2 maps, like Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, which was nice. Origins looked really, really nice on the old consoles, Xbox 360 and PS3. And when they made it backwards compatible for Xbox One, it looked even better. But what really stands out is when they remastered it for Zombies Chronicles, it looked so much better. It looks so much nicer. I feel the map is a little bit harder on Zombies Chronicles. You do a Gobblegum, but I think it's a little harder, but it looks so much nicer. Just updated, it feels better, feels cleaner. I think it feels a lot better. So I went with 2 to Mob, 3 to Origins. And last up is the Easter egg / storyline. Now, Mob of the Dead had an Easter egg that you can do with 2, 3, or 4 players. You can do it solo, but you can't complete it because you need 2 players to do the final fight. But overall, it has a really cool storyline of, the 4 gangsters, and they're paying for their sins in the time loop, and you have to break the time loop by Weasel killing the other 3 characters. It gets very, very deep, especially like when you're almost there. You can pick up the microphones and hear what's going on. Ferguson's telling the player, what's going on. Really, really cool. Same with Origins. Now, one thing I like about the Origins Easter egg, which is you can't do it for a lot of other Easter eggs, is that you can do it solo. I'm a big solo player. Like, I play with friends sometimes, but I'm a big solo player, and I like to be able to do things on my own. And having a solo completable Easter egg is really, really nice. So, and also the ending too is really, really cool. It was a little controversial at the time, but it launched all of Black Ops 3 Zombies. So, yeah, I had to go with 4 to 4 for both of these maps because they are just amazing. And anyways, our final score. This is going to determine the best Zombies map of all time. My personal favorite map did win. So I'm just going to keep you in suspense for another minute. But my personal favorite map did win. I did not plan for that. I think it's the community's most favorite map too. The second place map is probably my second or third favorite map. I'd say either the second place map or Der Eisendrache is probably my second favorite. But anyways, I love both of these maps. I try to keep this series as, I tried to keep it unbiased. I tried to just give you the facts, and I hope you agree with the outcome. And I like the drawing system of these things, because some people say, well, it's not really fair because sometimes, some of the weapons, like, some of them can get compared, like sometimes they feel it goes against the wrong thing. But my theory is the winner will always shine through. I feel that if it's the best, it will come to the top, if it truly is. So, without further ado, the best zombies map of all time is going to be Origins. Now, Origins got 25 points for this episode, and Mob of the Dead was very close with 22. Origins is the best map in all of zombies, just overall. I think it has something for everybody. I think that I think even the staffs are good for everybody. If you think about it, the wind staff is good for new players who just like the thunder gun and just need something to keep them safe. I think the wind staff is perfect at that. The lightning staff is good for people that aren't that, like, they're not going for a super high round, but they want to be able to save themselves, and the lightning staff is quite good at that. Sort of along the same lines with the fire staff, because the fire staff and the electric staff are similar. And the ice staff, my personal favorite staff, is the staff that you use to, go to really, really high rounds. It can't really save you that great, but it can go to high rounds. So I think Origins has something for everybody, which is really, really good. Mob of the Dead also, amazing map, probably like my second or favorite third, and it is one of the best of all time. So anyways, I hope you guys agree with the outcome. Please don't hate me if this was not the outcome you were hoping for, but I think Origins was the right pick. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.